welcome. This is new. It's different, right? Right. Today, I'll be sharing with you the top 10 reasons why I think IMGs don't get invited for interview. Now, these would include the reasons why I think some IMGs get fewer interviews than maybe their US counterparts, and some reasons why some don't even get invited at all, right? So if you want to know, stay tuned. Let's get right into it. So I'm going to give you 5 reasons. The first reason is, actually it's a question. Are there not enough spots, right? That's what I keep asking myself. So in order to answer that question, let's walk through some of the 2020 match results, okay? I have my notes down here on my computer, so I'm going to be looking. This is new, guys, so bear with me. So 2020 match, we had 34,266 PGY positions available. That's over 34,000 spots, okay, for all PGY 1 positions, including all specialties. So this was higher than what it had been in 2016. They had over like a 23% increase. Now, that being said, how many IMGs applied, right? So how many IMGs participated in the match? It was 12,074 IMGs. So just a little under half of the number of available spots. Now, the total number of IMGs that match was only a little over 7,300. So that meant, out of all the spots that were available for the match in 2020, 9% went to US IMGs and 12% of those went to non-US IMGs. But, those numbers may seem small, but in the grand scheme of things, that's a 30% increase in our match rate. That's a 60% match rate for IMGs, which is, doesn't sound big, but if you think about it, it's the best year so far since the start of the match. So what does that mean? Total number of IMGs that match, 7,376. Total number of IMGs that participated in the match, 12,000. So I can't speak. So what does that mean? 60%, okay, of IMGs that applied match, just a little over half. So does that mean there are not enough spots for IMGs, or just not enough spots in general? Obviously, mathematically, if you increase the number of spots, you're more likely to get more doctors into those spots, whether they're IMGs or non-IMGs. But so the question of not enough spots, I think doesn't really carry weight, because you could fit in the whole 12,000 applicants and there'll still be more than half left for the US IMG or the US graduate, right? But, I'm biased, right? Obviously, I have a lot of bias for IMGs. Now, talking about bias, that's what I think is another key factor. So the second reason why IMGs don't get interviewed, there's bias. And this is known like in social environments, like right here on social media, but it's also been studied. I actually found a research article by 2 physicians. I can't think of the names right now. Maybe I'll have it pop up here somewhere. And they studied the bias that's in the medical education system towards IMGs. So what do we do to get rid of it? I don't have all the answers. But what I do know is my channel, my podcast, is one way in which I am defeating the stereotype of being an IMG. And there's so many other IMGs out there doing incredibly great in clinical practice that are saying, hey, we have a place, we are, equivalent, we are well-trained, and we are trainable and teachable. So, take us, because we actually increase the productivity of the medical community, especially in underserved areas. Like everybody knows, underserved areas are more likely to hire IMGs because IMGs are more likely to go there to practice after they finish training. So that's another reason why I think IMGs don't get interviews. Is it the spots or is it bias? Those are 2 things I think have a role to play. Now, the third thing, which is now candidate dependent. So now those are 2 factors that maybe we don't have control over. So we don't have control over the number of spots that are available. We don't have control over the bias that another program or programs may have, because we know there are programs that clearly state they do not take IMGs. So we don't have control over that. But you as an IMG, you have control over certain factors, and everything else I'm going to list out here, you have control over it. So being strategic or not being strategic and looking for IMG friendly programs. I've had some of y'all send me DMs and you have like a specific list of places you want to go. And I know sometimes you have to be strategic, especially when you have other options. I think that you should definitely have a preference. Now, when your options, when the pickings are slim, now like some of y'all know, some of y'all have slim pickings. When the pickings are slim, sometimes we have to be strategic. And all jokes aside, what that means is you need to be looking for IMG friendly programs. There are programs out there that love IMGs. There are programs that have a track record of hiring them. You can tell by their website. You can tell by their current applicant list. You can tell by who's faculty on there because they'll tell you and you'll see it that they've hired IMGs before. So I think sometimes prioritizing this, and one way you can do this is by doing your own research, like looking at these programs for yourself, as opposed to just kind of, going off of hearsay. Now, the next item is, again, around the item of not doing your research. So you need to be doing your research on your own. You need to be creating your own Excel spreadsheets. You need to be looking specifically, even if you buy a list, you need to be going over it again to ensure that what you see is what you're likely to get. Now, another thing has to do with scores. So we've talked about this. Everybody knows this. Now, there is a lot of data to show that a majority of IMGs do get a lot higher scores to get into certain positions than non-IMGs. So what does that mean? So many IMGs, yes, obviously score really high on the test to get into residency. Now, that being said, there is also a proportion that do not score as competitive, or maybe they're low or average. And in order to stand out, you absolutely need to stand out. And standing out sometimes can mean getting a score that knocks it off the chart. I have seen, it's been my experience that the IMGs that have the easiest time getting into residency typically score off the charts. So if you're starting out, this is your cue, challenge yourself to make sure that you score way off the charts, because that's definitely going to offer you a much, much, much better chance of matching. So the next thing is, of course, multiple attempts, which has to do with scoring. There are some programs that do not entertain people that have multiple attempts. And so it may be your place to also research on the front end that you're not applying to a program like that if you've had multiple attempts. That way you can take your dollars and you can assign them to programs that are likely to give you a chance, because maybe they haven't specified that they are not picky on the number of attempts. And then the next thing is an inaccurate ERAS application. So if the ERAS application maybe was full of typos, not well written out, lacked flow, you did not really use the key fields in the ways that they should have been used, obviously that just makes it lackluster and more likely to not be reviewed. Errors on the application, whether that's grammatical or just like large gaps that are not explained, also can carry weight. Now, the next thing is the personal statement. So if there are mistakes in the personal statement, or it doesn't have any flow, there's no structure, it's very generic, or if it's plagiarized, programs do know that, and they can figure that out, and they will single it out and not review further. So that's definitely another key area. Now, the next area is letters of recommendations. I think that letters of recommendations are so important, or letters of recommendation are so important, because I know there's some specialties that are very close-knit. And what that means is, people know one another, especially when you start going to the subspecialties, and where you get your letter matters. Who writes your letter matters. If you're getting a letter from the chair of a department, I know there's some internal medicine programs that they actually require that. If you are getting a letter from a program director, it carries weight, obviously, because that person is in academia and knows what rates and rankings are necessary for a good student, and so they can portray that in a letter. If you are getting a letter from someone that's renowned in the field or specialty, that carries a lot of weight. Now, if you get a letter from your home country, that's usually also fine, but the content needs to matter. Like the dean writing your letter, or your supervisor, or your clinical director, it has to carry the content that is pertinent to the U.S. educational system. So what are the things that make you a good aspiring intern? or a good future doctor in whatever specialty that you're choosing. So those are some key aspects. You need to be asking yourself who wrote your letters, who is writing your letters. And then lack of clinical experience in the States sometimes can work against you, because there are programs that specifically say, we want U.S. clinical experience for 3 months or 6 months. And that could be anything from a rotation, an externship, an observership. And I'll talk about those differences in a separate video. If you want to know, do let me know. And I'll create a video for that. But I've just listed out roughly 10, maybe 11 points that you need to reconsider if you felt like you deserved more interviews, or you should have gotten more interviews, or you should have gotten one interview that you didn't get. I think these are some factors to play. And then the other thing, which to be quite honest, residency application to me, it's almost like a cycle. It's like a roller coaster. So you kind of like, you know, maybe the thing has so many seats, right? And then everybody gets on and some people can't fit in because they have to wait for the next time. It's almost like that, where maybe you don't get in the first time. It doesn't mean you'll never get in. There are only, like we mentioned, only 34,000 PGY positions in last year's match. There could be more this year. Who knows? We'll know when we find out. But, you know, if there are 50,000 applicants, you can only fit 34,266 people into those spots. And so that really goes to say, sometimes you just have to wait for the second time around. And I know that's not what you want to hear. It's disheartening. But a year is enough time to prepare. I mean, even now you can prepare for the SOAP. If you are in the match but did not get any interviews, you can still be eligible to apply during the SOAP cycle. Now, the next thing to remember as well is, even if you have to spend a year out, you can do a lot in a year. You could do research. You could do a master's program. You could pursue some clinically relevant things that can position you for success the second time around. So don't give up. Don't be disheartened if you feel like I've just basically trashed your application. That was not my intention. My intention here is to share some of what I think influences the IMG's chances of getting invited for interview. And again, all the opinions in this video are mine. And I just hope that it helps somebody out there to reconsider some things when they're working on their application the next time around. So thank you so much for watching this video. If you liked it, let me know, because I feed off of your energy. So if you tell me you like this, I could do more of such videos. If it doesn't hold ground, this would be the first and the last of it. So you guys, IMGs, I'm here for you all. You can DM me, send me an email, subscribe, follow me if you haven't already, because 2021, I'm bringing you a lot of information. And for those of you who are interested, if you are applying or planning to enter the match in September of 2021, meaning you're applying for the 2022 match, I have a calendar out for 2021. It's free, okay? Download it. I have some tips for you for each month that you can create some targets around. It's not one cookie cut thing, but it helps you create your own plan around how to maneuver the months of 2021 while preparing for a 2022 match. So the link will be down here. You can subscribe and, or you can, I don't even know the word to say, but you can find the link and then just follow that link and it'll tell you what to do to get the calendar. It's free. So, I mean, hey, what you got to lose? Nothing. All right, guys. I don't know if you could tell, I was a little bit nervous doing this, but I'm quite excited. So I'll see you guys in the next video. Thanks for watching.